My name is REEF Hammond, student ID 97247622. Today we're going to be looking at 3 of the projects that I've worked on over this past semester. We have the trailer for A Thin Line, which is in the drama genre. We have Fast Forward 5, which is a documentary. And we have A Thin Line Bloopers, which is in the comedy genre. All 3 of these projects I have worked on as a full-service editor. Looking at A Thin Line first. Okay, we're already a second in, and there's a lot to talk about. We know that we're in a kitchen for a restaurant because I've chosen shots of burgers flipping, frying, and then we see this man in a chef's outfit here. Could this be our protagonist? We don't know yet. He's certainly a main character. If you notice as well, at the top and bottom of the screen, we see black bars. The footage that I was given is 16:9. I've intentionally done this to make it look like this is something that you would see in a cinema. This is a movie trailer. Okay, the camera cuts in there on beat with the music. And then in this shot, we can see David, our main character, next to another main character, Sophie Dawson. He is staring quite intensively. And also, we can see there's a very subtle zoom, kind of like he's daydreaming. If you notice in the background as well, there's music playing. It doesn't sound like it's coming from a radio or anything like that. It sounds like it's actually playing in our ears right now, which you will notice actually changes as soon as Sophie walks through the door. Right in that moment, it now goes from sound like it's happening in our head to it sounds like it's coming out of a radio. So we see this other character, Sophie, walk in, still from David's perspective, mind you. We cut to black for a moment, not only with the music sounding like it's coming out of a radio, but it's also got reverb and it's droning on. I kind of took inspiration from the Us trailer, where they take up 5 on it and they make it drone and echo to make it sound creepy and eerie. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do here with a scene that looks completely fine. You wouldn't have a problem with it, but with creepy audio in the background to show that something's not quite right.
Doing anything with her or too busy chasing Sophie?
Okay, and there you go. Sophie's mentioned with his name in there. We see him look up as if he's offended by what she said. So we understand that there's some kind of love trope going on between David and Sophie, but we don't yet understand how deep it really is.
If he had it his way, he'd be taking Sophie home to his mum tonight.
And there we have it. You can hear from Gavin himself implying that David is almost desperate to get with Sophie, saying that he wants to take her home to his mum tonight. Suddenly met with the music coming back up from this radio effect, and then boom, we hear a dramatic thud that I've added underneath the soundtrack, also blended in with the sound of the plate crashing. We can now see Sophie's face clearly and see that she is quite concerned, met with another shot of her walking away, and then we get another shot of Sophie walking outside, all 3 of these shots being stressful. She's on the phone looking for help. She's walking away from David. There's been a shift in perspective. We're no longer looking at this from David's eyes. We're now seeing this from Sophie's eyes. Additional note in that we can see in this scene it's quite dark, whereas when we first see David, or this scene here, it's very bright. We've now gone from quite a bright, lovey-dovey story to a dramatic, dark, gritty drama. Notice as well, we can hear "it must be love, it must be love" over and over. I've purposely repeated that phrase and had it echo to insinuate that maybe it's not love, maybe there's some deeper meaning to this. And immediately we see Sophie's face, terrified. She is the main character of this story.
I can't do this anymore.
Immediately we get a voiceover from Sophie saying she can't do this anymore, something's very not right. Also met with the sound of the wine spilling out of the glass with a lot of reverb. Sounded like this is kind of like a dream state.
Been waiting all day to see that beautiful face.
We've seen the same scene again where Sophie's walked through the door, only much darker, and we can actually see Sophie's expression here.
See that he's acting.
Gavin looking over as soon as she says this, as if he's only just now realising something's up. More reverb when the glasses clink together.
He thinks it's a joke. You think it's a joke, but I'm not laughing.
Purposely chose shots here that match up with what she is saying. He thinks it's a joke. You think it's a joke. Shows that what she's saying is actually true.
You think it's a joke, but I'm not laughing.
And then when she says she's not laughing, you can see that she's actually scared of David, then immediately met with a shot of why she should be scared, because he's grabbing her on the arm. All of this in beat with the music, especially when he's swiping through the phone. Each time he swipes, it's done, done.
I've been made
feel like I have to stay quiet.
The camera goes into the back of her black t-shirt, then cutting to black and showing the starring. We can see Amy Jetpard's name perfectly within the title safe, as well as William Wilson.
You care more about how much money is being brought in than the well-being of your staff.
Voiceover that then cuts to her actually saying it in the film.
I do care about my staff.
If you really did care, you wouldn't have allowed this to go on for months.
The music completely cuts when she says this, like this is the climax of the film. This is also met with the deep rumble from her chair as she gets up from it, as if the loud sound of her getting up from her chair has stopped the music completely.
You wouldn't have allowed this to go on for months.
And there you have it. Her saying that this has been going on for months is then met with this loud striking sound as the music comes back in, also matched with David cutting the cucumber with his knife. I've purposely chosen a shot of David using a knife because it makes him appear dangerous to the audience. Yep, you can hear It Must Be Love again. And there you have it. That is a thin line. Additional note about this wine is that it's actually cranberry juice. And I was asked by the director if I could make it a bit darker when doing the colour grade.Moving on, we have a clip from the documentary Fast Forward 5.
Casting over
Immediately,
the next 5
we can
years
see
with modern
ChatGPT
technology
on
and AI.
screen, and then she's talking about AI. I've made sure to subtitle what she is saying using the transcript feature in Premiere Pro. I've also colour graded her interview because when I was first handed the footage, it was quite faded, so I brought it down to appear more appealing to the eye.
I'm Hatcheter. I'm the founder and CEO of Nolan AI.
So for Hatcheter's interview, his audio was very, very difficult to work on. I had to work it through Adobe Podcast on its maximum capabilities. I'm going to play a clip of what it sounded like.
We're gonna roll out our budgeting and video editing really soon, end of this year.
Very impressively, using Adobe Podcast, I was able to save the audio and make it sound a lot more crisp. As you can see here, the B-roll used in this section of the documentary is actual footage from the production of A Thin Line, showing them actually using Nolan AI to generate their script.
Pre-production suite powered by AI to make content faster, cheaper.
It does really, really worry me. And
We can see here that they're arguing with each other in a sense. These interviewees didn't know anything about each other, but they both took different standpoints on AI. It was quite fun to have them bounce off each other in a sense.
You can train your lines with the characters.
Once again, we're using footage from the A Thin Line production. We can see that how Nolan AI actually affects the script writing process.
You have a character, you can break down the character, understand the motivation.
More footage from the A Thin Line production, but we can also hear that it's working with what he's actually saying. He's describing a character, and we're seeing how this character of Sophie, played by Amy Jetpard, is coming to life.
If you really did care, you wouldn't have let this go on for months.
I do care about my staff.
Okay, so we can see the text on the bottom left in the title safe showing who she is and what she's actually doing. It shows her on set and also in an audition. It was actually my own creative decision to have her audition line up with what she actually says on set. It shows how her character develops and how effective casting has actually worked in her case. As a whole, I've edited this to be exactly 10 minutes long, splitting them up into different categories as asked by the director. I was actually given a script on how much time to give to each section of the documentary, which later on I had a discussion with the director about, as there was actually far more content for certain sections, such as the AI and the day in the life, that I thought was far more interesting, and I was able to get some more runtime for those things. But overall, the documentary had to be exactly 10 minutes long, so I had to kind of give and take away runtime for certain topics discussed in the documentary. You also notice throughout the entire documentary there is a very calming lo-fi track that I've chosen to kind of keep the pacing slow, but also give the documentary a bit of flavour. If there was no music at all, the documentary may sound a bit bland. And last but not least, we have the bloopers for A Thin Line, which personally is my favourite project because it was very fun to edit.
Can you go back as far as you can?
Okay, so immediately we can see subtitles again within the title safe. Also, we see black bars on the left and right side this time. So it's fit for distribution amongst platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. And there we have it. We have the clapperboard hitting Amy on the head. You'll notice when the clapperboard hits her, we hear a loud sound. Also met with the screen violently shaking. None of this actually happened. The hit wasn't actually as dramatic as it appears. The sound of it hitting her head is actually from the sound of the clapperboard hitting the ceiling and ricocheting off. What I did for that was I simply took the audio for that, moved it a little bit forward. You hear that sound once it hits Amy rather than hitting the ceiling, because it's just a far more shocking sound, and I feel like it adds to the kind of oh my god value of it. As for the camera quickly moving in and out, the camera obviously doesn't shake. The clapperboard hit wasn't that hard to the point where it shook everything in the room. I simply just zoomed in the shot for literally about 3 frames just to further amplify that kind of shock value and like bang, have that. Are you okay? The shock value is then taken away by her laughing. You can see, me swearing, which has been bleeped out. There has been a bleep sound put over the audio while the audio has also been cut. Furthermore, you can hear some silly music playing now that kind of shows that, okay, this is funny, and we are watching a blooper reel.
Oh, it's rolling as well.
And there you have it, a thin line bloopers in quite a bold, silly-looking text.
So sorry.
When I walk off and say so sorry, my voice is quite quiet. So I've zoomed the camera into myself walking off while also subtitling what I've said so that people can actually understand what I said while walking off. Once again, we've put censor bars to hide the swear words used. That's obviously him putting his middle finger up. We don't want that if we're doing a family-friendly blooper reel.
Maybe if we'd been together last night, I could have made sure you got up on time.
I would.
Okay, we got the camera panning from left to right. Obviously, because this is a 1:1 ratio, we can't show the entire shot. So I showed David talking first, William talking, and then we slide over to Amy saying her line.
But I'm such sorry. I'm so in love.
Zooming in on her to show her mouth while she is speaking. Once again, zooming in to show the main focus of what's happening here. We can see Rebel trying not to laugh. This is also met with a text at the bottom explaining what is happening. He's trying not to laugh.
Take 3.
I've used comedic timing here to cut the music right as the pen falls and hits the floor.
Continue.
And then obviously when I say continue, the music then continues again as if on command. And then finally met with a nice picture to show that after all of this, we're still good friends. And then a text at the top saying, well done to our amazing team. And then the video fades to black. So overall, we can see how in the A Thin Line bloopers, I have used comedic timing, subtitling, and music to create comedy in a video. In Fast Forward 5, we can see how I've used B-roll and effective pacing to create a informative but engaging documentary. And in the A Thin Line trailer, we can see how I've used creativity to select the best shots for the trailer, effective pacing, making sure that everything is on beat with the music, and sound design to convey and shift the story as it goes along. That'll be all. Thank you very much.